Everybody welcome. I need you to pan it around. Make sure everyone pan it around the room.
Okay.
Everyone here is over 18, correct?
Yeah.
Well, yes, you are. Don't. He needs this. Okay. All right.
All right. So.
And I am too.
Oh, thank you, Jeremy. All right. Leaving your own country because of reasons that you cannot control, such as war, famine, persecution, or because of religious belief or social belief, can be a scary proposition. And it can be even more scary when you don't know where you're going or what you're doing. For those who have come to the United States, they've come because of reasons such as war, famine, or persecution. And so they would be classified as refugees. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about what constitutes a refugee and the process that we can do to help support them. The definition of a refugee has not been well defined in the course of international history. In 1951, the United Nations defined refugee as owing a well-founded fear of persecution because of religious, race, or social or political beliefs. And in 1980, the United States Congress and President Jimmy Carter signed into law the National Immigration Act, which defined a refugee as someone owing a well-founded fear because of anyone who is not of a nation or does not have a nation that and is not willing to avail himself to the protection of that nation because of well-founded fear of persecution, religious beliefs, membership in a political, socioeconomic group, and is unwilling to avail himself to the protection of that country, would be constituted as a refugee. Becoming to the United States a refugee is not as easy as it seems. Kristen Bertrand, the refugee coordinator with the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services, noted that refugees have to go through quite a few hoops just to become a refugee. They must pass a security check and a medical exam to even be allowed into the country. Then they have to apply for refugee status. They have to secure financing, which is not cheap coming from overseas. And then they have to find the methods of transportation to get to the United States, whether by boat, plane, or however they arrive in the United States. And then they must travel here. Now, CAPS noted that the way the United States does it compared to other countries is not as formalized. Refugees, once they arrive in the United States, are expected to become self-sufficient within a short amount of time, whereas compared to countries such as Norway and Sweden, the government assistance is much more readily available to them. Fear of refugees. There was a survey I did with with 17 adults, and 13 of the respondents strongly supported or agreed that the United States has an obligation to help support refugees. And 14 of them strongly agreed that the United States has a moral obligation to welcome refugees because of the situations they're coming from. Now, the term refugee has kind of had a troubled history and a troubled connotation with it. Peter Vincent, he's a national security expert with national security, counterterrorism, and immigration law expert, said in the Virginia International Journal of Law that the word refugee has had somewhat of a negative connotation over the years because of international events, U.S. involvement in foreign wars, or the current status of the United States economy can influence how one might view a refugee. Now, the media can play a role in that too, as well as the tenor of speech coming from whatever the current political administration is like. The media is often quick to capitalize on what the administration is saying, both positively or negatively, as far as refugees go. And the decline of traditional media outlets, such as traditional newspapers and other reliable sources, and then the rise of internet-based tech media outlets has helped contribute to the fear of why there might be a negative or positive view of refugees. Often headline writers will write short, snippy headlines to draw readers, and sometimes they can be quite salacious and not necessarily in favor of refugees, or they can be very in favor of refugees. Stories they write are not as in-depth as they used to be in, say, a traditional newspaper like the Washington Post or the New York Times, where they're trying to capture stories that are more for technologically driven audiences that read their news on a smartphone. So while there may be a negative view of refugees, there was a case study done about Iranian refugees that showed that they've been able to assimilate here in the United States. Ms. Hermazi noted that refugees that have come to the United States have done it through very dogged determination and self-perseverance. They left Iran because of persecution for their beliefs, or political beliefs or religious beliefs. When they came to the United States, the study showed that they found that there was some trepidations amongst Americans because of the Iranian refugees, because of the same things they encountered back in Iran. But through their hard work and determination, those Iranian refugees were able to showcase themselves as being able to be a part of the American culture. Now, while it's might be difficult for the Iranian adults to become a part of it, one area where we can help refugees is with their children and through the educational system. CAPS noted that education provides a tremendous opportunity for refugee children to help overcome some of the traumatic experiences they've had. Now, education for refugee children when they get to the United States can be difficult at times because they have gone through such things as war or famine, or their families have been persecuted because of their religious or political beliefs in their home country. Their education has often been set back. In addition, their education gets even further set back because they have to come in to the United States and learn English. Now that being said, that provides a tremendous opportunity for the educational system to help these young people overcome the nightmares they've gone through. And also on the survey I did, one thing that was consistently noted was education can be used as an opportunity to help refugees overcome. While we might not think of it as a traditional school setting, we can do things like helping immigrant refugees learn English through programs like what City Light has done in the past, or working with the Yazidi population here in Lincoln, or other groups that service refugees. And it's not just teaching them English, but other things that Americans take for granted doing every day, such as learning how to drive, or opening a checking account, or other things. And then back to the education system. The education system provides a wonderful opportunity it should be open to all students. And because of the experiences that refugee children have had, they can help enhance and enrich the education of even American students to what they've learned and seen and gone through overseas. So in conclusion, there's much we can do. Refugees have had quite there's plenty that we can do to help with the refugees. We can volunteer, whether it's through City Light, programs that City Light offers, or other churches in the community. We can donate to organizations that help service refugees, like the City Mission, or other groups like that. The word has had a troubled history at times, but it's become more well defined over the course of history. There's still a skeptical view of refugees in this country, but it's one that it kind of comes and goes depending on the tenor of the political climate, and amongst other things. There's much we can do to help refugees by doing things through different organizations here in the city. There's plenty of opportunities for us to do so. And as Christians, Jesus says in Luke 12:48, as much has been given unto you, much has been expected of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
How long was it?